President Goodluck Jonathan did make that very elaborate announcement of a power sector roadmap and pointing investors to the fact that there would be a significant reform in the power sector. Join us in the studio to take a look at what has happened since then and what investors really should know about investing in Nigeria power sector is Ola Alokolaro, who is a partner at Advocaat Law Practice. Thanks a lot, Ola, for joining us on the show. Let's start from the regulatory environment. Obviously, that's where I think there's usually skepticism. What has happened since? We know that in 2005, there was some reform with a legal framework put in place by the National Assembly. But what has happened since then, and particularly over the last 5 months?
In 2005, the federal government passed the ESPR Act, which is the Electric Sector Power Reform Act. And under that act, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission was constituted. And over the next 3 to 4 years, nothing really happened within the sector. We had disarray amongst the commissioners. Some of them were suspended. But all that has been resolved since the inauguration of the roadmap by Mr. President. New commissioners have now been chosen, so licenses issued under the present regime would be valid, as opposed to what obtained under the previous regime.
And what else significant, in your view, has happened since August in terms of transactions, in terms of just getting it going since this roadmap was launched?
Well, part of what was done by the presidency was to set up a Presidential Action Committee on Power to drive the reform process, whereby key milestones, as enunciated under the ESPR Act, are pushed through. For example, we've had the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company formed, and it's now in business. We also have the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company that will take over the assets of PHCN, so that what the investors are buying are worthwhile assets as opposed to the liabilities incurred by the previous government entity.
And then what is different? Because obviously there will be skeptics. Since 2005, we've had the legal framework in place, but there's been very little action. Why is this one different in your view?
It's different in the sense that you have a government that is fully committed to the deregulation of that sector and the eventual privatization of it. And steps have since been taken in that respect. At the moment, there's presently a roadshow and investors forum taking place. The one in Abuja and in Lagos has already taken place. As we speak today, the one in Dubai has commenced. There's one in London later on this week, and then New York and Johannesburg in early February.
And there's obviously been interest. Can you tell us a bit about those that have shown the interest and possible transactions that have taken place or are close to be taking place?
Well, quite a number of companies, Western companies, for example, from the US and also from the emerging markets such as India, have shown interest in terms of the generating segment. Also, with respect to transmission, 3 companies, one from Ireland, another from Canada, and one from India, have shown interest in submitting technical and financial bids for the management of the transmission company in Nigeria.
And of course, like you mentioned, we have different segments to this. We have transmission, we have generation, etc. For an investor looking at exposure into the Nigerian power sector, obviously it's dilapidated. There's huge upside if things work. If you were to advise, where would be the first place to go in terms of that whole segment of distribution, generation, and so forth?
Well, as you know, the transmission is going to remain a natural monopoly, and it's just going to be concessioned out under a management contract. However, opportunities exist both on the upside in terms of the generation side and on the downside, downstream in terms of the distribution. You have a country of 120 million people. The commercial hub of Lagos is there. The commercial hub, former commercial hub up north in Kano, in terms of resuscitating the commercial activities over there. So there's huge potential. You have Enugu and you have the south-south in terms of Bayelsa rivers, where the oil communities are, and the feedstock for generating plants in abundance.
I mean, you've just made a good point that PHCN was a monopoly. It was serving the entire country. But now we have so many regions. How do you foresee the market changing with regards to the, should I say, deployment of private sector participants across the country?
I think we'll see a lot more growth in terms of the economy if investments are made in the right places, like I said, in the South, in terms of growth there, given vis-a-vis the oil and gas economy over there, in terms of the commercial hubs of Lagos, and also Abuja, and again up north in Kano and Kaduna. So there's room for potential growth and returns on investment.
And then, of course, funding, that will always be an issue. And potential investment opportunity, because obviously whoever is going to build these power plants and transmission companies would need funding. In terms of funding, where are the opportunities you see?
Well, obviously our capital markets still needs to improve slightly, but you have the capital markets and you also have some of the multilateral agencies looking to fund power projects. You have the African Finance Corporation as well, who are very interested in investment opportunities. In terms of generation and distribution, you have the partial risk guarantees given by the World Bank, so that those providing fuel source to potential generators, their monies are backstopped, and payment is in effect guaranteed for the feedstock provider.
So overall, you expect a very vibrant power sector?
Well, hopefully come March, April, when the assets would have been bought, we hope that that would be the beginning of new things for Nigeria.